John, I want to start with you because you have kept your office open since the very early weeks of the pandemic. And I want to hear how you made that decision and also how you're thinking about this recent Omicron wave, because employers are trying to balance the productivity that their employees have while they're in the office with the productivity of a workforce when people have to quarantine or isolate amid outbreaks or when their normal childcare is not available. How do you respond to that?
So I can only speak for my industry and what I do. We are trial lawyers, and being trial lawyers, that requires a great deal of collaboration. And during the pandemic, we had a number of jury trials that actually were reached. Now, in order to get ready for a jury trial, it requires countless meetings during the day as ideas come up, as issues come up. And doing that through Zoom, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't have 30, 40 meetings during the day when an idea pops up, gather everybody up on Zoom in order to discuss whether this is going to happen or that's going to happen. The other thing is, frankly, I think Zoom is a horrific way of collaborating in person if your job requires collaboration, because people get Zoom fatigue. You can see it. You can see when they're when they're looking at their screen, they're checking their email. They may be playing a game of Minecraft. They have a half-eaten can of Ben and Jerry's there. It just doesn't work. And so what we did was we were one of the very first offices in our city, and I'm in Houston, to reopen after the pandemic. Now, we followed all of the CDC guidelines in terms of distancing, in terms of deep cleaning and things of that sort. But our folks, a good number of them were coming in anyways. So now, and certainly there are professions where you can be productive working remotely. But for what I do, no way. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, well, so you're in one line of business, but Siddal, I'm wondering how you think the calculus comes together perhaps differently for other industries or at this moment in time compared to earlier stages of the pandemic.
Yeah, it's interesting because remote work or even hybrid work, which is a mix of in-person and remote, is actually an important tool, as is the office. So it's industry specific. I get that, and I respect any leader's perspective on in-person versus not in person. But the reality is we have gone through the most significant workplace disruption in our lifetimes and since the Industrial Revolution, where people are becoming more literate digitally and are using digitally enabled technology in order to work. So we have to level up. We have to develop digital collaboration skills. We need to figure out how to innovate where we're not in the same place so that we can use remote as a tool while we're dealing with this virus. And at the same time, we know that workers have shifted their expectations and want more flexibility. And so as we move forward into the future, remote work and hybrid work to me is only the beginning of the digital economy that's going to have us think differently about data, think differently about artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotic process automation. So if we're not engaging with this today, we're not preparing for what's around the corner.